Hey everybody, welcome back to DeHaven Family Farm. So we finally come to the video where I'm going to explain some of the saga that happened with my Case IH tractor that I purchased. I have a lot of notes here. I'm going to go by the paperwork because there's just pages of little notes here. I'm not going to go into too much detail because the video is going to be long enough as it is. I will tell you guys a couple things to start. First one is this is just going to be a video of me sitting here in the garage. Nothing really to look at. You don't need to look at my ugly mug. So if you have something else to do, you need to feed some cows, you're driving in the car, you want to shop online, you can leave me playing in the background. So you can kind of almost treat this like a podcast where, you know, multitask, you can do something else because you're not going to miss any great footage of me sitting here. So that's the first thing. Second thing is, this is a very difficult video for me to make. You know, I'm a Case IH guy. Any normal followers, regular followers of my channel will know that tractor-wise, I'm pretty hardcore Case IH. So it's difficult for me to make this video about this company and the experience I had with the company and the dealership. It wasn't good. So I want to make this video just to tell the story, and I hate videos that bash companies or bash products, and I'm not going to do that in this video. Basically what I'm going to do is just tell you the story of what happened to me with the dealership and the manufacturer, and at the end of that, you know, the end of this video, you guys can make your own conclusions, draw your own conclusions, make your own decision as to whether you would want to buy a CNH product. So going forward, just so everybody's aware, CNH stands for Case New Holland. You know, my tractor was a Case International, Case IH, and there's a little bit of confusion out there that people think that New Holland tractors and Case IH tractors are two completely different companies, and they absolutely are not. There's tons of overlap between the brands, you know, aesthetics and things like that, the transmissions, engines, everything. A lot of the models are pretty much identical. They're just painted different colors. So if you watch this video and think, well, I'm not going to buy a Case IH, I'll buy a New Holland, you know, it's the same company, it's the same everything. So again, I'm not making this to bash anybody. I'm still a diehard Case IH guy. So again, this is just kind of an outline. I'm going to try and move quickly. So on January 17th of 2019, I bought a brand new Case IH Farmall model 55A. It was a tractor, four-wheel drive cab, had a factory loader on it. And I bought this because I landed a contract for a project and I could not find what I needed via a rental piece of equipment. So I decided to just go ahead and buy a tractor that was going to suit my needs to fulfill this contract. And that way, you know, at the end of the contract, if I decided I just wanted to sell the tractor or something, I would probably come close to breaking even versus trying to find something to rent, which later on down the road, I could not find what I needed. But, you know, renting was very expensive. You know, you're looking at $1,000 a week. So I figured even if I lost a few dollars on the tractor when I sold it, I'd still be ahead of renting a piece of equipment. So I bought it for this to fulfill a contract that I had. So the 17th I bought it. The 21st I texted a picture to my salesman of the tractor leaking hydraulic oil. Basically, it was out of sort of underneath the cab area of the tractor. It was not a hose, it was not a fitting, it was leaking where two main parts of the tractor come together. So it was not something they could come down and fix. They had to pick the tractor up. So on about the 23rd of January, they picked the tractor up for repair. I had previously mentioned to them, you know, when I bought the tractor, they knew that I bought it for that contract specific reason. I said, look, can you please give me something to use in its place? Now, under warranty conditions, they are not responsible to provide you with a loaner tractor. That's not something they have to do. The dealer or the manufacturer does not have to do that. So I said, can you give me something? So they brought me a tractor, which I was grateful that they did that. However, they brought me a tractor that was pretty much useless. Mine was sort of a utility ag tractor. They brought me this small little 39 horse compact tractor. The front loader bucket, you could barely fit two wheelbarrow fulls of material in it. It was nowhere near a comparable tractor to what I had. It was a nice gesture, but it was a completely useless tractor to me. So I think it probably got 1 or 2 engine hours on it the whole time it was here, and that was basically me moving it out of my way. The tractor was gone for quite a few weeks. During the week of February 6th, they brought the tractor back to me, my tractor back to me, and they got it off the truck. I hopped in it to move it. It immediately had all sorts of lights, codes, issues. So it immediately went right back on the truck to go back up to the dealership. What I found out later was basically that when they needed to make the repair, that oil leak, they had to take the cab off the tractor, and they had to split the frame of the track, not the frame, but they had to split I think the transmission from the engine or something, right around in there. I don't know exactly, I didn't see it, but the tractor had to come apart into pieces to be repaired. So when they put it back together, I believe what happened, when they put the cab on, they pinched a wiring harness, and that was causing all these lights and random issues. So again, it went right back to the dealership, same day it came back. At that point, I still had my little useless compact tractor here. So then it came back to me, and around the 14th of February, I texted my salesman and said, they had brought it back to me at that point, and I said, the tractor won't start. It wouldn't start. And on the 16th of February was the first time I asked for my money back. At this point, the tractor had pretty much been useless to me for a whole month. And I did get to use it for one part of my project, one part of my contract before it started leaking. And that was basically on the day it was delivered. And then from then on, for the next month, I basically had no usable tractor. And so I had asked for my money back the first time there, late February. So that didn't happen, obviously. So then a few other issues came up. The tractor had to go back up to them as a result of those issues. And the whole time I had this little useless tractor here. Again, it was a nice gesture. And then the tractor finally came back, and I believe it was in March. I don't have the exact date right here in front of me, but the tractor came back. And then finally, in the beginning of April, they came and picked up their small compact tractor. So yes, you heard that right. The loaner tractor that they gave me showed up here the end of January, and it was not picked up till the beginning of April. So as things move forward through April and May, some issues developed, started leaking again, but same location, started leaking again, but I started into hay season and I needed the tractor. So quick backstory here. I had hoped that everything on the tractor had been resolved. They seemed like they were trying to make an effort to work with me at this point, and I had to make a decision. At that point, I had 4 tractors, and I couldn't keep them all, can't pay for them all. So this tractor seemed like, with anything new, there's going to be kinks to be worked out. So I hoped the kinks were worked out, and I made the decision to keep it as a permanent tractor, not sell it, and I sold my Case IH MX100. There was a couple of videos on that last year, and I had to sell that tractor in order to keep this one. Big mistake. So that tractor's gone. Now I'm back to my 3 tractors, this Farmall 55A being one of them. So we're into hay season. Things started leaking again. There was nothing I could do. I needed the tractor. So not only was the transmission had started leaking a bit again, I had hydraulic hoses on the loader assembly valve assembly started leaking. So on June 6th, I sent pictures of the leaky hydraulic hoses, and on June 22nd, a code popped up on the dash. So again, I'm busy with stuff, and finally I got a hold of them and I said, look, this tractor's getting worse. I don't want to use it anymore till it gets fixed. I need you to bring me something. I'm in the middle of hay season and I need to get this tractor fixed. So that was June, beginning of July. So finally, the end of August, they came and picked the tractor up, and they left me my loaner tractor, which was a Farmall 70A, which I did do a video on. I believe it was titled something like, I'm embarrassed to show you this tractor. That was just a loaner tractor. I'll try to link it at the end of this video. But that was the loaner tractor I had. It was much more comparable than the little dinky Kubota that they had given me. The 70A was a 4-wheel drive. It was an open station, but it had a loader, factory loader. So I could move round bales, I could rake hay, I could actually do stuff with this one compared to the last one. So, all right, fine. So the tractor was here a few weeks. I think it was about 3 weeks that tractor was here. On the 18th of September, I have a message on my answering machine. We're coming to pick the tractor up tomorrow. We sold it. Okay, well, I'm in the middle of moving round bales. It's stuff going on, and all of a sudden, you know, at that point, that was the only thing I had here with a loader. Along the way, I bought a brand new round baler, and I had traded my skid steer in on that round baler with the intention of just buying an older skid steer to fulfill my skid steer needs. So that was the only thing I had here as a loader. So you may have seen a video. There was a video of me knocking off round bales off my trailer with my mini excavator, because that was all I had at the time. This loaner tractor was in the field loading bales, and here at the farm I was just knocking them off with the excavator so I could go back and get another load. So that was all I had. So for them to call me and leave me a message, not even talk to me, and say, hey, look, we're coming to pick this up tomorrow. So after I got that message, I immediately got on the phone with one of the guys at one of the other dealerships. I said, look, they're picking this up. I said, I have absolutely no loader. I said, you got to bring me something. So they brought me my third loaner, which was a Case skid steer. I think I did a video on that too. It was leaking some oil. So I believe there's a video on that. I did not use it much. To me, the machine had quite a few issues, and I did not feel comfortable hauling it to different farms to load up my round bales. I just didn't feel comfortable using it. I didn't feel comfortable operating it. I just didn't feel safe with it. So I really didn't use it much at all. Put a couple hours on it was all. So on about the 20th of September, my tractor, it had been about a month at that point since it had been picked up, and I asked the dealership to talk to the manufacturer, Case IH CNH, about just buying back my old tractor, because at that point it had been a month that it had been gone for repairs, and they knew what was wrong with it, but there was no parts available to fix it. They went on back order or something. I think there was an issue with all of these tractors right out of the gate, and maybe they realized it and tried to come up with a solution, but it was taking forever. So the tractor was torn apart, out of my possession for a month at this point. I asked for my money back, asked them to buy the tractor back, did not happen. So on September 30th, some new employees came into the dealership. I started dealing with one of them. He seemed very genuine in wanting to help me get this situation resolved. So I started talking to him about my situation. On October 4th, I was told they were still waiting for parts, and I was not getting a refund on the tractor. And I said, look, now at this point, they had already picked up the Case skid steer because I didn't want to use it. So I had absolutely no loader piece of equipment here whatsoever. I had nothing. So I talked to the new salesman about that came in. I said, look, I have nothing. You got to bring me something. Can you please bring me something? So, sorry, the furnace is going to kick on. So on October 12th, they delivered a brand new tractor to me just to use, until mine got fixed. Because as of October 12th, now remember they picked it up the end of August, as of October 12th, there was still no parts available to fix this my tractor. So they said, look, we talked to Case, whatever, we're gonna give you this tractor as a loaner. It's the exact same tractor as yours. In fact, when it showed up here, it had my tires and my loader on it because they didn't have a loader and ag tires available for it. So they tricked it all out and they brought it down to me to be an identical tractor to the one that was trying to be fixed. So that was on the 12th. I didn't get to use it a whole lot at first, and then I had some hay down, so I went to ted hay with it. I probably tedded hay for an hour with it. And on the 19th, 7 days after they delivered it to me, I texted pictures to them of hydraulic oil leaks basically in the same location as what my tractor was. There is a couple of videos on this tractor. One is, I think, entitled Parts of My Tractor Came Back. And the other one is, I think, titled Brand New Loaner Tractor is Having Issues. You can see a little bit more about what I'm talking about via those videos. So I texted them and I told them to come and get the tractor. I had put 2 engine hours on it at that point. I said, I'm not using it. I don't want to leak the oil out of it. I do a lot of road travel, so it's not as simple as me driving down to my field and, you know, every hour or whatever, checking the hydraulic oil to make sure it didn't leak out. You know, if I'm on the road driving for 30 minutes to get to a field, I am not pulling over, you know, every 20 minutes or whatever to make sure this thing isn't pouring out hydraulic oil, and I didn't want to burn up a transmission or whatever, so I'm just not using it. So I said, come pick it up. I said, you know, I really would like a refund, again, asking for my money back. So on October 24th, I talked with the salesman again, and again, no refund. I got to flip my paper. So on November 1st, it had been suggested to me prior to November 1st by other folks to call CNH. They have a customer relations department, and to call them and see what they can do for you. So I called the 1-800 number, talked to a lady there, and I briefly explained the situation. She didn't really listen to much of my side of the story. She was very polite and said she'd be back, calling me back in about 2 business days, which ended up being 3 or 4 days because there was a weekend thrown in there, no big deal. So she called me back like she said she was going to and said, still working on it. I have no update. Wonderful. So I'll call you back in a couple days and let you know where we're at. She calls me back again and basically had no update and just told me at that point all correspondence with them was going to be handled via my dealer. Well, at that point, I was getting fed up with my dealer, so I was trying to bring an outside party in to sort of you know, be in the middle here. And so that didn't work. Customer relations from CNH did nothing. She called me a couple times to say there was no updates and said, you're going back to your dealer. Absolutely nothing. Waste of time. So I got a few phone calls here and there. And finally, on the 11th of November, the salesman I've been working with and I believe a manager from the local dealership, Case IH dealership I've been dealing with, came down with an offer from Case IH. Well, they had 2 offers. The first one was an offer to extend the warranty on my current tractor, which, as of November 11th, was still torn apart with no parts available. Yes, they picked it up the end of October or end of August. We're into the middle of November. No parts. Tractor's still torn apart into pieces. What good is a warranty going to do me, right? So I denied the warranty. I said no. And then they offered me a brand new tractor. They were going to offer me a 65A, which was sort of one step up. It's the same exact tractor, same chassis, same everything. It's just turned up 10 horsepower. It was a nice gesture. And I said, okay, let me think about it for a couple days and I will get back to you. So I thought about it. I called them back and said, okay, I will do it. So, you know, we'll kind of get the ball rolling on that. On the 13th of November, a few days after they were here, When they were here, I explained to the salesman that at that point, my local Kubota dealer had stepped up and was letting me use a SVL 65, which is a rubber track skid steer. There's a video on that. They stepped up and offered to let me use this. I explained the situation I had going with them. I know one of the salesmen over there pretty well, so they let me use the machine. But I said, look, I can't keep this forever. And he said, well, if you need a loaner, we'll bring you a loaner. So on the 13th of November, a few days after they were here, I had gone on their website. They have multiple stores, and I found a tractor that I was hoping to use. It was a Kubota tractor, open station, four-wheel drive with a loader. It was just a kind of a basic utility tractor. It was not anything fancy or expensive. So I asked for that. Didn't really hear anything about that. On the 19th, I asked again. I was told the tractor was out on loan to somebody, and so I couldn't have it at that point. Then on the 23rd, I asked again. And the 29th, I asked again about the Kubota tractor, and I was told it was still out on loan. So then we're into December. On the end of November, we had a snowstorm. I did not have a tractor here to help with that snowstorm. On the 3rd of December, I asked for updates on the new tractor, updates on the loaner tractor. I'm not really getting anywhere. On the 5th of December, I asked again for updates, and the salesman told me that he lost his phone between the seats of his truck. He was sorry that he didn't get back to me. Okay. And at that point, I was told that my new 65A was in port because it was from overseas. It was in the port at Baltimore and should hopefully be clearing soon and coming up to them. Wonderful. So on 12, 9, and 10, I asked again about the Kubota loaner tractor and was told it was still out on loan. During that conversation, I was told that the 65A that I was supposed to be getting, they didn't realize it had been sold to a different dealer, so I couldn't have that tractor. But the good news was they had a 75A at one of their stores, and they were going to upgrade me to that one. Now, I had not signed any paperwork on that 65A, and I'm kind of curious what would have happened if I had signed paperwork and then they found out it was supposed to go somewhere else. I don't know. So I was told that they had the 75A at one of their stores and that they would now give me a 75A, and since they had it at one of their stores, it shouldn't be too long before I got it. So in the meantime, oh, I got to switch papers again. So in the meantime, you know, I had asked about this Kubota tractor multiple times. Finally, I got fed up, and it was still listed for sale on their website. It was at a different location than the one that I had been dealing with. I called that store directly. I'm like, hey, look, I'm interested in this tractor. He said, yeah, we have it. I said, I was told it was out on loan. Do you have it there? He said, let me go check. He goes out, he checks, yes, the tractor's here. I said, okay, thank you. So all this time, I have been told that the tractor is out on loan, out on loan, out on loan, when it's sitting there at the other dealership. So I asked the salesman about it, and he said, when I asked for it, I told him the exact model, I told him the year, I told him what store it was at. And so finally, at this point, you know, we're towards the end of December, and I told him, I said, look, I called, I said, the tractor's there. He said, oh, well, I must have entered the wrong information in the computer system. Wonderful. Thanks for nothing. So, moving on. On the 19th of December, I had a load of hay going out. I get a phone call. I answered it because I hope it was them telling me that my tractor was coming. Oh, no. The phone call was from the salesman that I'd been dealing with, telling me that the 75A, which was the second new tractor they promised me, was sold. They didn't realize it. They didn't have it in stock anymore, and they were going to try to find me another tractor. Yes, folks, they didn't even bother to check their own inventory to see whether it was there or not. So, back to square one. I have no tractor. So, a week or so later, I get a phone call. They found me a tractor at another dealership, and they were going to bring it in on, I believe it was the 31st or so. It was almost the last day of the month. Salesman came down. I signed the paperwork for the new 75A, which was the third new tractor they promised me. And yeah, so I signed the paperwork. I don't know exactly when that tractor got to the dealership, but I was told at that point, like I said, it was around the 30th, 31st. I signed the paperwork. I was said probably in about a week the tractor would be to me. Week comes and goes. Where's my tractor? Oh, we're getting it ready. Guys on vacation, whatever, because it was the week between Christmas and New Year's. So there was guys at the dealership on vacation trying to get stuff ready. So I said, okay. So then he says, oh, it should be there on this day, like another 4 or 5 days or whatever. So I'm like, all right, fine. So that day comes, and I'm like, where's my tractor? So I call up there, and oh, it's bad, icy up here today. We don't want to risk sending the tractor down. We'll have it there. It was supposed to be here on a Thursday or Friday. We'll have it there next Monday for you, we promise. So the tractor actually did finally show up here when it was supposed to, the third time. And the guy that brought it was a different driver than I had dealt with. Apparently they fired the other one. But anyway, so super nice guy. He was just a fill-in part-timer because they had fired the other guy, and just started chatting with him a bit. And I said, oh, you know, I've been waiting for this tractor a long time. And I said, it was supposed to come last week. And he said, oh yeah, I'm sorry, that was my fault. I was sick, I had pneumonia. Okay, well, that's fine. Why did they make up some story about an ice storm when the part-time driver, he was an older gentleman, he had pneumonia? No problem. I don't care. I'm not mean. I'm not going to send an old guy on an hour-and-a-half trip, well, 3-hour round trip with pneumonia. That's fine, but why make up the story about it being icy? So anyway, so the tractor finally showed up here on the 13th of January. And I had a nice little chat with the delivery guy, super nice guy. He leaves. I got in the tractor, started driving it around, and yes, folks, a warning light came on that tractor. So I texted a picture of the warning light to the people I was dealing with up there. And what's today's date? Today is February 1st. And I still have not heard back from that text message that I sent about the warning light being on. So that's pretty much the story in a nutshell. You know, I know from the story you're going to be able to take away a lot of dealership error, and there was, in my opinion, a lot of dealership error, just silly stuff that either they made stuff up or whatever, I don't know. I would have had a better experience had the dealership been better about handling the situation. You know, bringing me equipment, loaner tractors that were useful, not ripping them out from underneath me, you know, not lying about stuff. So, you know, I would have had a better experience, but I cannot blame it all on the dealership. None of this would have happened if the manufacturer had built, number one, a quality product. And, you know, when the tractor went in to be fixed the first few times, had they provided adequate parts to repair it, it never would have gone in August for the repair, for which they held up parts for. I guess that's one thing I did forget to mention here. They picked the tractor up at the end of August, got all ripped apart, couldn't get parts. During one of my phone conversations, December 7th, I was told that the tractor was finally put back together. So it really stems from CNH not providing adequate parts in a timely manner for this tractor. Like, I just don't understand how you can have a tractor out there brand new. Meanwhile, I'm making payments on this thing the whole time. I did not miss one payment on this tractor that was out of my possession for months and months and months. You know, how do you treat somebody like that? Oh, sorry, we don't have the parts. Your tractor's just going to be torn apart, but we're not going to do anything about it. You know, they should have just bought the tractor back. You know, they could have put it back together and resold it, but they didn't want to do that. And, you know, I think it's an unfortunate situation. So while I'm unhappy with my experience from the dealership, it is absolutely not all their fault. And I will give them a tiny bit of credit. Somebody had to get in there and fight for me to get a new tractor. So I think it was those guys. So even though they screwed up a whole bunch of stuff in the end, I guess I got a new tractor out of it. But it's not all, you know, rainbows and unicorns here. You know, I lost a tremendous amount of money from this whole endeavor, from not having the piece of equipment that I needed for my contract. I had to hire somebody else to help me. I still have a bunch of round bales out in fields all over the place that was top quality hay that has been snowed and rained on for months and months and months now. And yes, I can still sell it, but I'm not going to get top quality for it. So I lost money on the hay. And, you know, sure, I could have rented a machine to help bring that hay home, but at a cost of $250 a day, plus me going and getting it, it would have cost me thousands of dollars for that. So not money I really had at the time anyway, you know. So there was that, and the fact that I just had all these other things, you know, from the time that they took the loaner tractor away, the good one, in September, the rest of my season for hay, I had no usable tractor. So I'm a one-man show here. I run all over the place. So me having to make extra trips back, it cost me fuel, it cost me time. I am not lying to you guys when I say I lost well over $20,000 in 2019 from not having this tractor in my possession like it should have been. So yes, it's great that they gave me a new tractor, and yes, it is worth a little more than my other one was, because one was a 55, one was a 75, but in no way, shape, or form makes up for the $20,000+ that I lost because of this ordeal. So that is a pretty big financial hit, and I'm very unhappy about it. So and talking about attorney stuff, I know a couple people have mentioned in the comments, oh, time to hire attorney, time to hire an attorney. I looked into it. I did talk to a few attorneys, and there's a lot of complications with that. Basically, the last guy I talked to, it was going to cost me $2,000 for him to take all my information and review it. And then at that point, he would make a suggestion as to whether we go to court or not. So $2,000 just to review everything. Now, if he reviews everything and says, look, you have a shot at suing them and getting all your money back or whatever, furnace kicked on again. He said, this is what's going to happen. He said, litigation can take 2 to 3 years. It could cost you easily $20,000+. And even if you win, there is no guarantee that a jury is going to award you what you asked for. So I could go in there and ask for $30,000 or $40,000, give me a refund on the tractor, whatever, and the jury could award me $5,000. So I could spend all that money and time. I mean, 2 to 3 years to fight with this is a long time, to be without a tractor and whatnot. So that's why I did not end up going the attorney route. That's just what I was told. Any of you guys that have possibly had a similar experience that know a different attorney or a different way to go about this, please leave it in the comments down below in case this happens again to me or it happens to anybody watching this video. They'll have a little bit of guidance moving forward. So I think that about sums it up. I know we're at over half an hour. There's just nothing I can do. It's a long story. I did try and shorten it down a bit. So I hope that sort of fills everybody in on the nightmare. You know, just the stress that was on me and my family for the last over a year, trying to get this resolved. It was pretty bad. You know, paying for something that you don't have when you're a small person. You know, if you're a large farmer and you have 10 tractors and one breaks down, sure, it stinks, but you know what? You got another one, you can make it work. You know, I'm one guy that got down to having 2 tractors, and I had 0 things here that had loaders on them until my local Kubota dealership was nice enough to let me borrow something. So it was a bad situation. You know, mentally, I just was not in a good place the last year either. It was rough. I'm not lying. You know, so anyway, I hope this video was helpful to you guys. Again, anybody who watches this, make your own decision as to whether you want to work with this company or not. And I know that no company is perfect. I know every company is going to have some sort of issue and maybe not want to stand behind something, and at that point that's where having a good dealer comes in handy. So my advice to people moving forward is to really do your research on your dealer. Don't just go in there and talk to them and ask them questions. Ask them for references. Go talk to those people. Look online and see if you see any reviews. Look on Facebook. Really do your homework. I did a little bit of research on this dealership. I saw they had multiple stores. I thought, well, great, they'll have a lot of used tractors. If this breaks, they can provide me with an adequate one, which they didn't. And yes, they did have them in stock. They just didn't feel like bringing one down from a store that was further away. So really do your homework, because the dealership is going to be your friend if you start having these issues. Or you could buy used, I guess, and you know, kind of go that route. So I think that's basically all the information I had for you guys on the situation. If anything else comes up, just ask in the comments down below. I did the best I could to explain it, trying to stay under an hour here. There's a lot more little details I could have put in, but again, just trying to keep the video a little bit shorter. So there it is, guys. There's most of my ordeal. Take it as you will. Thanks for watching. And some of you, I guess I'll see you on the next video.